Weddings-ish, 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 with Jove.
Well, hello. Thank you so much for tuning in to Weddings-ish with Jove, a podcast all about love, joy, and weddings-ish with a special guest each episode. I couldn't be more excited to be joined in studio by the one and only, the incomparable wedding and event planner, Marcy Blum.
Hi, Jove.
Hi, I'm so happy that you're here.
I'm delighted to be here.
You have an iconic career that has spanned 35 years. 35, am I right?
38.
38 years.
Uh-huh.
You are an author, you are a TV star, you are a top wedding planner on every list in the world. But the first thing I want to talk about is you as a bride.
Yes.
You were recently married. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Our first anniversary is coming up.
It's coming right up. It's so
Yeah.
wild as someone who's also getting married.
I was about to say, you're in the midst of it.
I'm in the
right?
midst of it. It's very weird to be on this side of it. So I wanted to ask you, you went for a very non-traditional wedding. Instead of a big, iconic New York City wedding, you had a birthday party in St. Barts.
Right.
Which was a surprise wedding. Tell me everything.
So half of the guests knew that it was going to be a wedding because,
Okay.
or a third, let's say there were 14 people. Several people knew because my friends on the West Coast would not have flown to St. Barts for just my birthday party.
Got it.
So
Okay, got it.
I said, you don't have a choice. But,
It's my wedding.
Yeah, but the other people didn't know, so they were kind of surprised. I just, as I had mentioned to you, I had been married before, and I had, a big, beautiful, it's a very bohemian wedding. I got married at Wave Hill before it was
Beautiful.
a wedding space, way before.
Okay. What year was this?
1986.
Okay.
So Ed Koch was mayor. He was a
Yeah.
dear friend of ours. He gave us the keys, basically, and we just
Wow.
went in there and did all the
And
cooking
did what you
and
wanted
did
to
what
do.
we wanted to do.
That's amazing. And that was the
Yeah.
beginning of your career.
Exactly.
Okay.
I was like, oh, someone should do this for people. Little did I know. Yeah. So, and I just felt like I didn't want to do that. I know, you and I are in the same boat. It would just be, it could never be glorious enough, or
Sure.
the food could never be good enough, or the wine good enough, and then so I was like, screw it, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So
the bar for you would be at the ceiling.
Ridiculous. And I knew that I really wanted to have a dance party.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the best place to dance and drink is St. Barts, if you can afford it. And that was why I had 14 people.
There you
that
go,
was
'cause that's who could
basically
afford it.
what I could afford, and luckily my friends were very generous
Yeah.
with some of the events. And we just had the first night dancing on tables at Petit Plage, and then the next we did the ceremony. One of my clients had lent me their villa for 2 hours. You know how generous billionaires are.
Well, that's fabulous. 2 hours is all you need for a ceremony.
If it
Quick
were you,
in and out.
If it were one of us, we would have said, "Here's the keys." But a billionaire,
Yes.
like, you could have it for 2 hours, and please pay the maid.
That's why they're a billionaire.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? They know how to.
Yep. And then we had that night at Eden Rock, and then the next day, Nikki Beach, and sort of an end-all party. And it was perfect. It was perfect. Someone handed me my bouquet had like a chrysanthemum or something.
Like
in it.
you took
I
off your
just was
bride
like-
hat.
I
You were
was
not
like, "The hell
planning
with it."
this.
So much so that the week before I realized that there were going to be photographs. I really didn't even think there were going to be photographs.
Like you didn't have a
So,
photographer?
Alan Zapata came,
Who's
and
the
he
most
was
amazing,
and he's a
talented
guest.
human.
And Sam is a dear friend. They
Yeah.
both are. But Sam was 8.5 months pregnant. So
Pregnant, yeah.
Alan came himself and shot everything. So I had this world-class photographer
Yeah.
for this little bitty wedding. But when I realized that was going to happen, I went to one of probably
The designer.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I found something on the rack there. She only does custom, but it was someone else's dress that they decided not to wear. And we
Stop.
chopped it off
No.
and made it a little bigger.
That's how
and
you
I
found
was
your
like,
wedding
"That was
dress?"
my wedding dress.
I'm obsessed with this. You're the
It was
most
great.
low-key bride.
I just, because, there's no end to the anxiety. Once you pull a thread, it just goes and goes and goes.
There is
So when
no
they handed
end.
me a carnation or a chrysanthemum, whatever it was,
Yeah.
that was the first moment I was like, I guess I should have thought about the flowers, but oh well.
Wouldn't have
And
been your first
yeah,
choice.
It was fine. It was
And
fine.
so what prompted you after 22 years of being in a relationship to decide to get married?
So Destin is 20 years younger than I am.
Okay, good for you.
And I always say,
And
good for him.
Good for him. That was my
And
next.
I started, and I'm sure we'll get into this in broader detail later. I started thinking if or when, whatever, something happens to me, the way this country is going and the world, if we're not legally married, I don't know even with a will or whatever, what's going to be. And I was like, I'm not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere.
Sure, but
let's just. And I thought it would be such a nice way to celebrate my birthday.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, and I'm sure you've heard this before, and I've heard it my whole career, but I never quite believed it. It does make a difference. You feel different. There's something. I mean, you don't feel different in the archaic sense.
Sure.
And I don't feel more committed but
you don't love him more or have
none of those things. You just feel more secure. None of that. You just it's kind of funny, because it has this. It's ordained by the government.
Sure,
somehow.
you're legal.
So, legal.
Has
exactly.
planning your own wedding and being married changed the way you work with clients who are getting married? Like, do you see it differently? Do you feel it differently?
No. I mean, I would say, maybe one of the things I'm best at is probably because I've been in therapy for 8 million years is I, attempt to channel the client.
Okay.
So I really I was just lecturing my team this weekend. I was like, it's not about what we want for a wedding. It's this couple's wedding. So what do you think is important to them?
Yeah.
Because it's not, I know that's important to me, but obviously they couldn't care less. So
Sure.
let's not dwell on it and let's just
Move on.
Yeah.
Figure out what they want.
So that kind of thing. So no, it didn't. But my signature, if anything, is fun.
Yeah.
Like it has to be pretty, but I really want it to be fun. So that was the same thing I wanted.
It's what
for
you
my
did.
wedding. Yeah.
I mean, your wedding was literally I saw the pictures of you dancing on the table. I was like, this is a vibe.
And then I was walking on the beach the next day with my girlfriends, and this young woman came over to me. She said, "Excuse me, were you the lady dancing on the table?" I was like, "Yes." Point being,
that was me, and you're welcome.
Yes, exactly.
Was there an engagement or proposal, or you sort of were just like, let's get married?
Yeah, we just. I think we talked about it over the years. I mean, Destin would say, "Why don't we get married?" And I was like, "I don't like that proposal."
For 22 years, you didn't like the proposal.
I was like, okay, fine. Yeah,
you gave into it.
Exactly.
Are you seeing that there's a wave of couples who are just throwing everything out and doing it the way they want to do it rather than the way society expects them to do it, from proposals, engagements, weddings, sort of all of it, even babies before getting married?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've had several couples either, where one of them is pregnant and or they have a kid before the wedding. And I don't know, I assume you and I get a slightly more interesting clientele. So I don't know, it's hard for me to say if the statistics match,
what you're
because
doing
people
on
are going
your
to come
end.
to me. They're not going to go to someone whose name
else.
I won't mention,
Sure.
if they have a baby,
Yeah.
right? They're
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
too freaked out to even talk
like
to
you
them.
open the doors wide to everyone.
Right, and the same with you. So I think we probably see that kind of. I think. I think people are generally really depressed at the moment internationally.
Yep.
And I think, people say to me, "Why is your business doing so well at the moment?" And I said, "I know it sounds self-serving, but I really do believe people who have money are just throwing money at it because everyone doesn't know what to do.
They don't know what else to do."
Yeah,
You've been vehemently against Trump for many years. I'll never forget your Instagram. It was like wedding planner, event planner, and I forget.
Is it fiercely against Donald Trump?
In like all caps.
You'll probably get me carted away down here now.
I mean, honestly, their podcast might get blocked.
Yeah.
But it's from the beginning you've been on that train, and now here we are, and we were just talking about what to do. But as an industry, it feels like we have to come together. We have to fight back. We have to stand up. Like, first it's women's rights, then it's people of color, now it's gay people. I mean, it's just regressing.
The trans people are going to. That is to me, it looks like that's the gateway to getting rid of gay marriage.
Yeah,
and,
it's happening. It's going to the Supreme Court. I mean, like it's literally
it's
on its way.
You know how old I am. I'm old, and I marched against the Vietnam War with my mother, and I marched for reproductive rights. I honestly can't believe this is happening.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm in a horrible dystopian movie.
Yeah,
and what you and I would talk about as friends is the cognitive dissonance and kind of like fiddling while Rome burns, right? They're like, oh, just plan a wedding, la 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 la.
Yeah. Pink or the like
exactly.
Flusher, 100%.
So it's Yes, and I've been very outspoken. You've been very outspoken. I mean, they tried to block, not our friends. Someone put up a YouTube video trying to block me from speaking at Engage because of my
Stance.
left-wing,
Wow.
my left-wing bullying.
Because you stand up for human
anything.
beings.
Right, exactly. I like anti-hate, and that seems to be a very unpopular.
That's a problem today.
Yeah,
We're going to have to blur
exactly.
and censor this
Right,
whole thing.
right.
But do you think our industry as a whole can do better?
Yeah, for sure. I think.
And are they afraid? Is there a loss of business on the other side? Is it a loss of perception? Like sometimes it feels like for me, outside of you, I'm sort of like, anyone else care?
I mean Brian Raffinelli, for example.
For sure, with the White House
with
and
the White
the
House, and
Obamas.
very, and
Yep.
he's.
And the Bidens.
I haven't spoken to him since the election. I mean, when we texted, he was incoherent.
Of course. We all were.
Right. And many of us, I think, and here is the sentence that drives me crazy, and not to be redundant, but it is if one more person says to me, I don't want to discuss politics. I was like, I don't want to discuss that you're like a murdering liar, like
Yes.
rapist, thief.
Yes.
Like this is not politics.
No, it's not
This
the
is who
size
you
of the
are.
government.
Exactly.
It's not the taxation
It's not
bracket.
the taxation. I don't care. All that would be a different kind of argument.
Yeah.
This
It's this human dignity, human rights,
rollback
human
of
respect.
human rights, and
Yeah.
so it is. Politics is who we are.
Yeah.
It's our integrity, our ethics, our morals, and I feel. And one of the reasons and obviously I should say I'm not a rich person. It's not like I can afford to lose business, but I also one of the reasons I'm so vociferous is because I don't want to be in a situation where I'm halfway down the line in the planning and someone says to me, "Oh, look what he did today! Isn't that fabulous?" And then I'd have to quit. So I think it'd be better if,
And then you'd
if we
freeze.
just
Your
start-
whole body
right.
would.
I'd just start from the beginning
Yes.
and say, "This is So if you voted for one of them, just don't tell me.
Yeah.
I'm not
not
giving you a lie
interested in
detector,
knowing.
right?
Sure.
But if you're going to be, jubilantly, I
Yes.
can't be around you.
You're going to show up to
Yeah.
the meeting in a hat.
Exactly.
And I think
right.
it's not
I
going to
just
work
can't,
out.
Be around you, and
Yeah.
that's the end of it.
So I want to talk more about your career because obviously you're a seasoned professional, but I understood you started in restaurants or food, Culinary Institute.
I graduated CIA,
Okay.
Culinary Institute. I was the first class of women. There were 50 of us,
Wow.
which was great fun.
That's amazing.
It
The
was like
first class of
1,500
women.
1,500 guys and 50 of us in Poughkeepsie, so it was really,
Wow.
it was my heyday.
Yeah.
I thought I was Elle McPherson. Until
I mean, of course,
it
like
was
50 of
awesome.
you is like,
Yeah. And they were like starved up there, so
Yeah.
it was great. And
also might have made college a little exciting.
yeah, it was great fun. So then we, and then I came back and I was teaching cooking, and I was working as a food consultant and menu consultant, and
So you were knee deep in food. I don't
yeah,
think I
very
knew that.
much. Yeah,
American food, French, Asian, or just sort of.
I had. So I'm a New Yorker. I'm a born and raised New Yorker, and as a kid, I was into acting, as a lot of people in our field. came out
I'm
of
discovering that, like many people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tons, and it makes
Yeah.
sense. So I went to, every Saturday. My sweet parents schlepped me down to American Academy of Dramatic Arts, and then I went to high school. I went to Performing Arts, FAME.
Yep.
Where
You went to Fame?
I went to FAME.
Who knew?
Ah,
That's wild. Okay.
great times dancing. I mean, it was we danced
All
in
of
the
it.
cafeteria. All of
Singing,
it.
dancing,
Smoked
acting?
dope in the bathroom.
Oh my God.
All of us. So I was an actress, and I went to FAME.
What year is this?
I graduated in '70.
Okay.
So
So
that
this
was
is
when-
also the 70s, so
Yeah.
like
Oh yeah.
a great time.
Yeah, it was fabulous.
Okay,
So
wow.
and then anyway, so when I graduated CIA, I was into after I decided I wasn't going to act anymore because I didn't want to wait on tables the rest of my life, that my next great passion I was so thankful for was food and cooking and hosting and all.
Yeah.
I just loved, my mother was a great host and a fabulous cook, and I just fell into it, and I met someone we weren't romantically involved in that time, who's now my former husband and still one of my best friends.
Okay.
But he was opening a bunch of restaurants, and he hired me to be the food and menu consultant
For his
for
restaurant.
his restaurants. So I hired, the chefs, and and then it just kind of kept going. So I wound up running. Some of them I ran the front of the house, and then eventually I was running all the parties. And
wow. At the event spaces,
at the event
restaurants.
spaces,
Yeah.
at the restaurants. And we owned a couple. You're too young to remember, but Luchau's, which was the largest German restaurant in the world, was on 14th Street. We owned that. And we owned Gage and Tollner, which is now
in Brooklyn.
been reopened.
Is that the original location?
That's the original, yeah. So we owned it there.
Wow.
When no one would go to Brooklyn, myself included. Now
yes.
I live there.
Now I was going to say you live there. I live there.
Yes,
I live
but
down
at
the street
time,
from Gage and Tollner.
Yeah, but at the time we
Wow.
were living in the West Village. And,
Okay.
Yeah. So, for many years I did that.
Yeah.
And people would ask me, can you do events outside of the restaurants?
And you would just say yes here
of
and
course,
there.
because, when you're that age, you could do anything. You
Literally,
could
you
build
have
a
the
tent
energy.
yourself.
You have, yes, you'll take it. You'll do it.
Like, sure, I know how to do that better than anybody else you're going to hire.
100%.
Yeah. So now I know how much I don't know. Yeah. And every day learn more that I don't know.
Of course.
Yeah.
So that was the start of it unofficially, but when did you sort of see that this was a career you could have versus a thing you did on the side?
I guess,
Like, is there one wedding or event that...
yeah, probably. Maybe the year after I got married, or 2 years, we did. I did Kevin Bacon and Kira Sedgwick's wedding, which was. He wasn't a superstar.
Sure.
And, he's still not a superstar. He's a very,
but Kira, come
Kira,
on.
Yeah. So they were children. Kira still looks like she's 12, but
she's tiny.
They were babies.
Okay.
And
you met them through restaurants or through
no,
friends?
actually, I met them through someone who was an accountant who I knew, who, interestingly enough, was Tracy Pollan's father, and Tracy and Kevin used to live together.
So what an interesting
And they broke
way.
up, and he was still, close and fond of Kevin. He was like, she's marrying this lovely woman, and you should meet them. You'd be great.
And you're like, okay.
Sure.
Wow. And where were they married?
At their farm up in Connecticut, where they still live.
Beautiful.
And then after the great big after party was at that night at Bar, which is now like Lavo.
Yeah. It's not what it used to be.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, they came down?
Came down.
From Connecticut to the
It's
city.
a much smaller wedding up there, and then everybody.
A big party here in the city.
Yeah.
And that sort of kicked you off.
Yeah. That, and then the Rockefeller, one of the Rockefeller girls hired me, and I did both, and then 2 of their weddings, and then,
Wow. And that was 38.
37,
38 years ago. 85, 86.
Yeah.
That's when I was born.
That's nice, Joe. I was just beginning to feel so. Listen,
I'm just saying.
No, it's insane.
The breadth and depth of knowledge and experience that you have it's wild. And
no, it's crazy.
Yes.
It's not only that. It's as I'm sure, and you will see as you get older. None of us, my best friends. I brought my team out. We did my best friend's granddaughter's bat mitzvah last week in Palo Alto.
Yep.
So she and I went to Woodstock together. Okay.
I love this. Yep.
So we love to tell everybody, we went to Woodstock, and
you
then
were
we
there,
went, and we went every night to Studio 54 together, and to see these looks on people your age and younger, who were like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah, there's no way that you could be there.
They can't even believe that.
Yeah.
Like, we're not like drooling
in wheelchairs or at home.
I was like, no, we're
Yeah, but those are the times. Woodstock and Studio 54.
Yeah. No, I was very, very lucky, and for all sorts of reasons. Can you imagine Woodstock happening now?
No, but the magic of that is amazing.
Yeah, we were lucky.
So those 2 kind of big weddings kicked off your career. Some say you are the first wedding planner.
I know, I keep hearing that, which is, I think, like someone was doing this article, right? And he said, would you say you're the first wedding planner?
I thought I'd ask you.
I was like, no, that was Wilma Flintstone. I was like, what do you mean? Like, I thought I was.
Yeah.
I had the hubris to think nobody else had done this before, but I was wrong.
Who is it? Here in New York, we had, what's her name?
We had Harriet Katz.
Who passed away. Harriet Katz is the only other one in New York.
And then I think there were, people like Letitia Baldridge, who was a White House social secretary, who I think that was sort of a party
side
planner.
thing she did.
Yeah.
Okay. But you're in the top 2 or 3?
I guess, because I really, apparently, I was one of the first people to turn it into like a real job,
business,
career. Yeah.
Wow. And how does that feel, knowing that?
It's weird, because it only took me, and we've discussed this, off air. I mean, I would say I really didn't make money until like 5 years ago. I mean, money that not our clients would ever consider money, but money that would really be considered enough to like just not go buy a McDonald's.
5 years ago?
5, maybe 6, yeah.
So after 30 years of business.
Yeah. I mean,
it took
I
you-
supported myself.
Of course, and your
it's
team and
fine
your company.
Right.
Yeah, but like you're finally
anything that you
feeling-
would consider, like you have anything for retirement or anything,
Sure.
5, 6 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of young wedding planners today, I mean, you turn around and someone's a wedding planner, they get married, they're a wedding planner, and no disrespect, but they're...
Oh, I have disrespect, but you're not allowed.
Well, tell me about your disrespect.
Because it's not... I guess because I don't have kids. I don't,
Yeah.
it's what I've done with my life. So I'm, clearly a little sensitive about it.
Yeah.
It's not.
But you're allowed to be.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
literally
it's not that this is what I
36
did,
years of your
and
life.
Right. And I feel, it's, and by the way, as you know, some of them are very good.
Sure.
I mean, some of them came out of catering or they came out
Yeah,
of
yeah,
something, that was
A foundation.
right. But some of them are like, the same stupidity. Looks so glamorous, or they're going to like film a, YouTube channel before they've even like figured out like how to bustle anything. I was like,
Yes.
what are you doing?
Yes.
Like I have more photographs of me on my hands and knees under someone's dress, or
Then
like,
on YouTube
sweep-
making a perfectly
Yeah,
looking,
right.
fake kind of wedding.
So I don't, and also, I mean, I've had some dear friends, younger, very close friends of mine, who closed their businesses because I said, listen, if I couldn't figure out how to make money for 20 years, and
Sure.
you women are so much smarter than I am, go do something where you make some money
Yeah.
because it's not a hobby kind of career. It'll
Yeah,
kill you.
you're going to blink and all of a
Yeah,
sudden
it's gone.
it's
And
gone.
it's not, it's fun.
And it's taxing.
Taxing. You're
People think it's
exhausted.
this like fun, beautiful Instagram
I left
moment.
the after party at 2:30 in the morning Saturday night, and
Yeah.
I wasn't drinking.
And you got there
Often
at what time?
Yeah,
Yeah,
right,
like-
yeah, right.
18-hour days,
Yeah.
20-hour days,
Yeah.
easy. And managing, juggling people's emotions and
Right.
feelings.
Yeah.
Do you, because there's no education program, there's no course, there's no certification. It's the wild, wild west. Like anybody can say they're a wedding planner, name their own price, and go.
I mean, we could trade stories. I walked into a hotel last week, and I don't do a lot of work in hotels. I don't think you do either,
No.
because it's too restrictive, and I
Yeah.
can't stand it. And
Yeah, not your vibe.
no. So, but anyway, I was there to do a tasting with someone, and there was a planette.
Wait, I love this. Planette.
Yeah, in the middle of the dining room with clients, sitting there in an unmade up dining room, and the lights fully on, and a bunch of silverware thrown on the table, and I said to whomever was in charge, I was like, "How can you allow this?" Oh, they don't care. I was like, "But this is the fun part for the client."
Yeah.
Like that is, even if nothing comes of it, it's that time when you
It's
get
that
to hang
exciting
with
moment,
them,
of
and
course.
it's the tasting for a
Eat
wedding.
and
People
drink,
say to
it's
me,
the best part.
If I run into them, in the street 5 years later, it's usually about the tasting or
Yes.
something like that.
Or you drink a little too
Right,
much, you eat
exactly.
too much.
And the groom or the person who is less in charge ordinarily gets to like give their opinions,
in that
So
moment, yeah.
so it's, but I was like, it's so, that is not sexy. It's not fun.
Mm-hmm.
And this whole thing should be fun. I always say I want the year to be fun. I don't want you to like hate me for the entire year and then go,
And
but
then
the
show up
wedding
and
was
have
fabulous.
fun. Yeah, you want a relationship with
Right,
clients.
right.
But I guess as an industry, should there be standards? Should there be schooling? Should there be testing? I think about like, not that we're making what lawyers are making. We can't, we should bill $1,000, $2,000,
Easily,
$3,000 an
an
hour.
hour, yeah.
Right? But there's a standardization there and a testing there
right.
that you can't just be in charge of someone's biggest moment of their life that they've
No.
spent money on that they've never spent before, and you have
no-
no background,
no.
you have no referral, you kind of just... I mean,
you're
started
a
on
de-
Craigslist.
I was going to say, you come from a design background,
Yeah.
right? I come from a food background.
Yeah.
The other people, some of my dear friends, Lynn Easton was doing corporate events. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
everybody that I respect had some background.
Some
it wasn't
background where
identical,
they-
but it
Sure,
was something
yeah.
that was
A foundation to
yes.
start from.
And I mean, the reason that it does matter is because that's why a lot of the people don't trust us, or it's not a moral issue. I could care
Sure.
less. Like what people do, what you want to do.
Yeah, doesn't
but the
matter.
fact is, when the reason that so many of our clients are like questioning us at every moment is because there are so many people who don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. And they enter the market at a very low rate.
Right.
Which is
it's unbelievable. I mean,
and it's interesting for some people. Like, I just had a call with someone who has fired their planner. They're getting married in New York City at a well-known venue, and they hired someone who I think is newer and affordable. They fired that person, and they called me, and they're like, that was a mistake.
But they want to pay the same? Or
No, I'm not the same. I'm
I was
significantly
gonna say,
higher.
Of course you are. So good.
So now we're having a second call today, which I assume is about the rate.
Yeah.
I'm sure, because I shared that, and then, you know how it goes.
Listen, and well, I'll say, as I say, if Lady Gaga were to call me, I'd pay her.
Yes.
But other than that, I don't want to be someone who says, I would never do. Of course I would, be
of
lying.
course.
But I try not to negotiate, really, because halfway through, it's like a bad lover.
Yeah.
Halfway through, you're like, I didn't want to do this. I don't know why I'm still here. This is bad. You hate me. I hate you. It doesn't work.
Yeah, it's not a great way to go.
Yeah.
Are you percentage, flat fee, or custom?
I'm percentage.
Okay.
However, that is. But again, that was why I learned how to make money 6 years ago. It was just be a flat fee, and it was a joke.
Yeah, because you'd work for 9, 12, 16
and
months.
I would have a contract. So let's say they come in, they said it was going to be, I don't know, $1 million, and it turned out to be $12 million. I was making the same $75,000, which I thought was a huge amount of money at the time. But then I was like, this is a joke.
But now you've literally you're building a small village,
right?
And it's taking weeks and weeks, and
your
you're
whole
getting
life.
one flat fee.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how big is your team?
So I have 4 full-time people.
Okay.
And now, for the past couple of years, I have a little different MO, which some weeks is working great, and other weeks I'm like, what am I doing?
Test and learn, test and learn.
But it's, I have what we, perma-lancers. So I have about 6 people who are leads for projects for me.
Got it.
And they have, they work at the other events with the other leads.
Yep.
So it's like a big family.
Yep.
But so let's say there's 12 people all together, and then they're in different
stations of the programs and the
yeah.
working.
Yeah.
And then I saw you were hiring recently. You know that your post went a little viral.
No, I didn't know.
Yeah. So a lot of wedding planners talk, and people were like, she's paying, because now you have to put the salary.
Now you have to.
And other people who've been working for other planners for some time were not making what you were offering.
Is that true? Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
So there were some conversations happening, and people were like, should I apply? And I was like, if you want. Do you love where you're at?
Right.
Like, is it worth? Like, they were making significantly less than what you were offering for that role.
Interesting that you said, because I mean, I thought it was, I didn't think it was huge, but I thought it was nice.
It's nice for the job.
Right.
Yeah.
And I have heard that I mean, the day rate, we're all paying the same.
Sure.
But for these leads, I have heard I'm paying more. And the truth is, in all fairness, not to be obnoxious, I am slightly older, so I, don't need to squeeze out every dollar from every job. And I'd rather have 3 or 4 hours a day when I can actually, do Pilates or go
get a massage.
Exactly. So yes, I am making, percentage-wise less than I did, but no one's bitching at me all day long.
And you can have some life.
I trust them.
Yeah.
And they would, it would never be a tasting or a floral design or anything or a walkthrough, anything like that. But if you want to move Mrs. Schwartzbaum from one table to another, they're not texting me.
They're not,
And that's what I need. So I trust them. And these, mostly women, that's how it is. They're, they should be able to buy an apartment in a couple of years.
They should be able to live.
Exactly, which makes me happy too.
Yeah, that you're able to give back to the work that's coming this way. So are you involved with every couple and client? Are you you're not passing off to team members, you're the head?
If they're, on rare occasion, like after COVID, it was wacko.
Sure,
it was like a wedding factory, which is the last thing I want. But these poor people were stuck.
Yeah.
So, but no, and if it happens, it's because I was previously booked, and when someone comes to us, I'll say, I personally...
You'll be clear.
I'm booked. I can't be there.
Yeah.
But I can oversee it until we get there, but I can't be there. But yeah, and I know lots of people work in different ways, and I'm sure they're making a lot more money. And I would have... It's not because I'm Mother Teresa. It's because I just couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
I just couldn't figure out how to make it special and fabulous and
without
how to compete with any.
You.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With people who are with, I'm not the be all and end all, but at least someone who's trained by me and me there.
Sure.
I just, and people who have expanded a lot, some of whom are colleagues and friends.
Yeah.
You can tell the difference.
Yeah. I tried to expand, and then I couldn't sleep. It was too much stress. All I was doing was saying, how's it going?
Right. It was
What's going
ridiculous.
on? And then I wasn't at my own event. I was thinking about the event. I wasn't.
Right.
It
No.
wasn't for me, but everyone has a different goal and a different business structure.
And I think people, some of our friends in the business, come at it from a business head, which I've just learned again recently. I mean, now, if I were 30 years younger, I'd probably, go to business school because now I'm fascinated by it. But at the beginning, I was like, I don't want to discuss that.
Yeah, you just figure it out. Yeah. Money, we don't talk about. We're just planning parties.
Exactly.
And you're an author of 1 or 2 books?
2 of the Weddings for Dummies books. The original one, and then the first one was Weddings for Dummies, and then Wedding Planning for Dummies. Yes.
Okay. And would you ever write an autobiography? I mean, your life is so interesting.
Thank you for saying that. It doesn't seem interesting to me at all, but people are constantly talking about me writing a book because it's a slice of life that I now realize is not really around much.
Present. Yeah. You don't have culinary school, fame, Woodstock, Studio 54, and then this level of celebrity or weddings that you do at a certain level, this insight, like, it's so fascinating.
Well, the truth is I can write. I have no discipline.
That's the hard part.
My friend, my dear friend, my former cousin-in-law is a great big agent at CAA. I mean, she's huge, and she's been on my case for years. So, but you can write.
Yeah.
I was like, but that really, my brother, I don't know if you know, my brother's a best-selling author.
No, I didn't know that.
So from a Freudian perspective,
I see.
That's probably why I have no discipline. My brother go lock himself in a room for a year and come out with a book.
But that's what you need to do. You couldn't lock yourself in a room.
Oh my God.
Not be social, not see anybody, not
2
work.
hours. That's why when I don't drink, I stay home. And then I was like, maybe I could write and not. I was like, that's it.
And what are we doing here?
What are we
We're not
doing?
living, like,
that was no fun
especially
at
not
all.
now with everything going on.
Exactly.
So if people are getting married, what's your best advice for couples who can't hire you, can't afford to hire you, but what is the top advice you would give to couples getting married in the beginning phases of planning their wedding?
I think I don't think people are very introspective or as introspective about it as they should be. So before you even start a Pinterest board or anything, which is all about the visuals, and there's nothing wrong with it.
They're helpful, yeah.
Like what do you imagine? Like even if you're someone who never imagined it. I mean, I was certainly never one of those girls that was like,
clearly.
I'm a wedding.
You had a birthday party,
right? Exactly. But I, like, what do you think? What do you want people to feel when they're there? What do you want them to think when they leave? What do you want for each other? What are the things that your partner that you can, surprise your partner with that just by feeling that he or she would want, I'm going to have an ice cream sundae bar that they didn't know about. I mean, I think as mundane as that, just something. Yeah. And I think, someone came to me last week and said, I really want to say thank you to the guests, but I know that's not in the program. I was like, oh my God, I hope I didn't make you feel that way. That is not at all. Please. Yeah. I was like, nothing is lovelier than one of the couples speaking.
Of course.
I said, and on top of that, we were saying it was maybe before the first dance. I said, that's great because then you could invite her to dance.
Yes.
And we don't have to have this stupid MC doing it. So
Perfect.
we can, but things like that, which
and
I
leaving
think.
space for spontaneity.
Right. And I think, and I see that in the joy that you do in your events. And I still have joy if the clients, I mean, it's all about the clients. When they're lovely, I'm in heaven.
Yeah.
I was like, how lucky am I?
And when they're not.
When they're not.
They're not.
I say bargains for billionaires. I say I'm gonna name my next business.
They wouldn't like that. I don't think.
I don't
Bargains
think so.
for billionaires.
They don't like
do
when
it.
I even say it to them. They don't think it's funny.
And for wedding planners who are obsessed or want to be in the celebrity world, you've done a fair share of celebrity weddings in your day. I know everyone's a celebrity, yada, yada, yada. But is that something you encourage, something that you think helped your business, hurt your business? I know people feel differently about celebrity
weddings. I think it probably helped my ego or my pride.
I mean, of course.
But Mindy Weiss, who is inarguably the queen of celebrities, and she's not only talented, a lovely, kind person, as you know. And she would say to me over the years, "But Marcy, if you were living in Los Angeles, you'd have the same clientele." So obviously, if you're an East Coast planner or a European planner, or whatever, it's unlikely.
It's different.
But the ones I have been lucky enough to work with, I think, and I've heard this from other planners too who do far more celebrities than I do, I think are really looking for someone to relate to them as if they're just a person. I mean, they want to be respected.
Of course.
But they don't want you to be scared stiff or
on pins and needles.
Yeah.
Talking
or
to
like,
them.
we're going to talk, like, and whenever, I'm sure when someone's interviewed and they say to me, what's it like to work with a celebrity? I said, they still have, their Uncle Jake who like made $5 last year, probably doesn't have a passport.
Yep.
And they got to figure out what hotel to put them in and how they're going to pay for it. And,
Same problem.
Celebrities are not only
No.
surrounded by celebrities, they still have a family.
Normal people in their lives
right.
that you have to manage and prepare for.
And that's what they want to know. They want to know those people are taken care of.
And that they're thought about.
Yeah.
And for vendors who, I told a few people I was interviewing today, they're so excited.
Oh.
And a few responses where they were nervous to approach you, or they have admiration for you, but they don't know how to get in touch in like a genuine way or foster a relationship. As planners,
They probably heard my cracks on the stage. Like, don't send me any more photo albums and don't ask me for coffee. I can buy my own coffee.
I don't want the coffee. Don't invite me for coffee. Like literally,
yeah,
it's,
right.
But I get it.
I do too.
What's your genuine, you have people you love, but you obviously want to discover new talent. That's part of what we do. What is the best way for you, because I think it's different for everyone, for vendors to approach you to offer their services, to get to know you or for you to get to know them?
I mean, the holy grail is, of course, send a job. But that's always, I always say, well, if you send me a job, I will reciprocate.
Well, 100%. But a makeup artist, it's harder for the funnel to go up.
Yeah. It's a good question, and I'm asked it all the time, and I always feel like I'm so obnoxious in my response because
you
I don't
can be
mean
honest
it
because it's
no,
your
I don't
response.
mean it that way, but I get it. If someone approached me with something that is realistic that I could possibly do for them, I'm just thinking about it since you asked me, and I hadn't really ever thought about this before. Like, do you think you could get one of the photographers you work with to use me as a second or something? There's something like that is a favor that I would be happy to do for a nice young person who is talented. Like dump them on Alan or someone. Let them, let them, something like that. Instead of how I can't possibly hire you until I know your work because my clients depend on me.
It's not worth the risk.
I can't take it.
Yeah.
So
someone you'd be open to that sort of a...
Yeah. Someone approached me at the last Engage and then said to me, we just can't get through to you people. We just can't get through. I was like, I don't know what you want us to do.
Yeah.
I don't know what, I don't want you to do something for me for free. That's not the point.
Yep.
I don't, and I said, listen, I'll tell you a story. You know who Terry Gruber is, who, is one of the OGs in the business. And we worked together for very many years. I met him. His college friend was a friend of my brother's. Came to my office when I had my office on 51st Street, and he had shot and published very successfully several books on cats.
Okay, that's literal, very niche.
Literal cats, like cats. Cat High.
Okay.
There was a Cat High School book. There was all these, and
He's a cat person.
Yeah, tons, and they were fabulous.
Yeah,
and he brought them, and I was like, well, what do you
want me to do with this?
How do you expect me to show this to a couple?
Yeah,
like that's great cats.
Yeah, there are cat people.
I said, you go. I said, obviously you could shoot. I said, go and find,
cat lovers.
Go and find someone to let you do their wedding. For free, one of your cat people.
Yes.
And come back with at least
with an
one
album.
Wedding, and that's what he did. And then we got
and
to
then
work.
From there,
together.
you were able to do it. Yeah. I think it's a hard thing because people feel intimidated or nervous. But it's also for you, you're not going to put your name in the line with an unknown or a risk that could potentially harm or ruin the wedding. It's just not worth it.
Right. And I don't like being rude. I mean, I don't enjoy it. Not for the most part.
I don't think you're rude. I don't think people would describe you as rude. You're blunt. You're honest.
Yeah, well, because I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
When I think about my naivete when I started, I mean, you want to hear how stupid I was? You might remember, may she rest in peace, Harriet Katz was perhaps the most competitive person on this planet.
In terms of other jobs. Yeah.
I mean, she would have run me over for a job.
If you got something that she didn't, or if you were both up for something.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, and she was far more successful than I when, in those days. And it was, and I was stupid enough when I started to send her a note because we knew each other through food circles to say, I'm sure you have smaller events that you don't want.
Or that don't book. Yeah, like give me your leftovers.
When I think about that in retrospect, how she must have laughed because she would have like done it. She would have done it for free before she'd give me a job, And
she just wouldn't.
No way.
She was she is who she is, and she's so iconic in so many ways.
And there's a perfect example of someone, I may not have been the same style or anything, but she knew her stuff, boy. And she was great. Really, really talented woman.
Sharp.
Very sharp. Very, very sharp. So that was, so those things you all make stupid mistakes.
Sure. I mean, you only learn as you do.
Right.
And so you're going to make mistakes along the way. In terms of couples, are there things you wish or advice that they shouldn't spend their money on, or where people are always wondering, like, what's a waste and what's worth it? And I know it's personal, but from your experience, what's a waste and what's worth it at a wedding after 35 years of...
I think stupid favors are a waste.
Okay.
I love edible favors, not those kinds of edibles.
I was like, what kind of edibles? Now they're legal.
My best friend is a cannabis producer in Portland, and she was a chef also, so she makes these wonderful things. But nobody wants a split of champagne or a candle. Nobody needs another candle. No more candles.
I have a
candles
candle
go
closet.
with the coffee.
Do you have a candle closet? You must have a candle closet.
I have a candle, and I remember Colin telling me he had a candle closet.
Okay, so it's not just me. We have candle closets.
Yeah, really. And I always err on the side of too much staff. I would take the flowers off the table to have enough staff.
To have service.
Yeah.
So service is number one for you.
Yeah.
Service from what? Not just servers, but like service
Getting a
from
drink,
the moment you walk in to the moment you
Which
leave.
is not to say that I always nail it, but when I don't, I suffer. That's the thing that drives me nuts.
Is the service of it.
Yeah.
If it's too slow, if it's too
if you
sloppy,
can't get a drink,
too
if
messy,
you can't get a place to put your coat, it drives me
then
nuts.
what are we doing here?
Yeah.
So I don't want to ask you about retirement because it feels rude, and you're very young and energetic and sought
that's
after.
not going to look at the camera.
Give the people a wink.
Right. Yeah.
Well, you're already married. Don't flirt.
Yeah, no, I flirt with everyone.
You know what? But that's part of the job.
It is part of the job, and you'll see when you become invisible one day in 20, 30 years that people look at you like, are you having a stroke when you're flirting?
Yes.
So much.
When I think Marcy Blum, invisible is not a word I would ever put in front of it. You walk in a room and the room knows you're in the room.
It's very kind.
It's
for better,
honest.
for worse.
I'm
not going to retire.
Yeah,
I thought I would.
said the same thing, but I didn't imagine you'd say anything other than that.
I thought I would, and then I have friends and a family who've retired, and they're like brain dead. I don't know. I can't even have a conversation with them. I don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And I could do without going to 3 countries in 2 weeks.
I'm sure you could.
1 or 2 days, but I know I don't.
Yeah. You're not ready.
Even if I could afford to, which I can, I just don't think I would have much fun. I don't know what I would do.
Yeah. It's not your vibe.
It's like you can't play tennis when you're old enough to retire. You can no longer.
Your knees won't let you.
This is the irony of life. I was in the Valentino department at Saks last year, and I don't buy Valentino, but I had a very, very special occasion. So I was in there trying to find a dress to wear, and these 2 gorgeous young guys with the salesman, they were laughing. I was like, let me tell you about life. When you finally get to a point where you could actually afford to buy yourself a Valentino dress, you can't get your ass in it.
You got nowhere to wear it. Or your ass doesn't look as great in it.
I was like, this is a joke.
Oh,
this is the cruelty of life.
It is the cruelty of life. Would you ever teach a Marcy class?
I would, yeah.
Not a master class, but literally like a certification class or a class for newbie wedding planners?
Lynn is doing that.
Okay. Hers is virtual, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's it's not for newbies. It's for people who want to get to the next
level.
Okay. Yeah.
Because Mindy has her master class.
Yeah.
She has the next level, but I feel like
I feel like every time I'm an engager any of the conferences I'm trying to teach.
Sure, for free. For
free. Yeah,
but I'm
for
saying
free.
like you have a wealth of
Yeah.
knowledge.
Well, come
where...
on, let's send me some people.
Okay, well let's talk
we'll
about
go to
it.
Brooklyn. We'll have a little.
Where are you
yes.
in Brooklyn, by the way?
I'm in Carroll Gardens,
Carroll
Gowanus.
Gardens. I'm in Brooklyn Heights.
Yeah.
We're
I didn't. You weren't
very-
always though. Were you
no,
in
I was
Williamsburg?
in Crown Heights. I was in Crown Heights for 12 years.
Oh, so you're in Brooklyn Heights.
Yes, for the last couple of years.
I didn't realize that.
So we
so
share
we're
a lot of
walking
favorite
distance.
restaurants, I'm sure.
Yes.
In the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Well, this has been such a joy.
Thank you so
I'm
much.
so
This was
happy that
fun.
you got married in your
Yes,
own
thank
way
you.
and did it dancing on tables in
And
St.
I can't
Bart's.
wait to see your wedding. When
I
it's,
know.
What day?
It's
It's
this
in,
summer. Yeah, this summer in New York City. And it's very weird. It's almost done.
It's weird, right?
It's bizarre.
I know.
I can't make any decisions.
I know. No.
Like,
exactly.
Literally, I'm like, yeah, that's pretty, but that's not it. Yeah, that's pretty, but that's not it.
I just did my kitchen.
Okay.
And that was the
like
same.
a full renovation.
Full renovation. And that was exactly because I've always wanted a kitchen.
Uh-huh.
And I knew I wanted a wolf range.
Yep.
And other than that, and the
Everything
same
else.
thing. And just like our clients, that's what changed my mind. Not my wedding, the kitchen. Now I feel for them because you look at one thing and that's perfectly lovely little brass thing, and then you see the next one. That's gorgeous.
That's
and
also
it's 4
gorgeous.
times the price. But I want that one.
Yes.
So
and then once you see it, you can't unsee
you
it.
can't. That's why I always say don't go to Chanel because
It's
everything looks like crap after that. Right?
100%.
Yeah. Yep.
Don't go to Chanel. I
Yeah.
couldn't agree
Yeah.
more. Well, thank you
That
so
is-
much.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Thank you.
And now it's time for Ask Jove. And I couldn't be more excited to be in studio with my dear friend Sloan for Ask Jove. What do we have today, Sloan?
Okay, Jove. Next up is Mallory from Brooklyn.
Ooh, Mallory from Brooklyn.
Hometown. All right. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I'm struggling with letting go of control as we get closer to our wedding day.
Mallory, are you me? Am I you?
You are one and the same.
Yes.
What is your advice for brides who want everything to be perfect on their day of, but know that they also need to relax and enjoy?
I think, listen, there's a lot of pressure for your wedding to be perfect and for this to go off without a hitch. I think you've got to know yourself. If you're neurotic, if you're anal, if you're a control freak, like you know who you are. Mm-hmm. And you have to be able to take care of that by hiring the right people.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you do your research, you hire the right people, and then you trust those people, Trust, trust these people and their process, then you can really let go. Then you can really enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the way you make decisions, maybe you're a slow decision maker, maybe you're a quick decision maker. Like, set yourself up for success.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you need a lot of time, then have a longer engagement period. If you make decisions really quickly, maybe you're fine with a shorter engagement period. But I think, like, you also at some point just have to, like, let go and let God. I don't know why I just said that. Like, my religious
okay.
days are back from my childhood.
It's coming up in you because you're feeling the anxiety.
I'm feeling the
having to,
anxiety from her
Yeah.
in myself. Listen, anxiety comes from the desire to make, it's a people pleaser thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you want to make everyone else happy,
Mm-hmm.
but, like, are you happy? And what's going to make this process less anxiety ridden for you?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's about being honest, you know, like, if you have a wedding planner, hi, I'm naturally anxious. These are the things that really make me the most anxious.
Mm-hmm.
Like unresponded emails after 2 or 3 days, or when I don't know something that's going to happen. Like, be very honest about yourself and how you work with your team, but then trust your team
Mm-hmm.
to do what they do. How do you manage anxiety? Oh, and yoga. Just do a lot of yoga.
Just like sit, move your body. Moving your body is so important.
Yoga, walks, anything.
Yeah. I think also something that's important to remember is you're going to walk through your day of schedule with your planner.
Yeah.
Right. And so you have some some frame of like timing and flow
Yeah.
for the day of, and you can really like feed into that whenever you're stepping into your wedding weekend or day, whatever it is. Knowing when you'll have certain touch points with them, knowing that they're always going to be there to help and support you. Also, like if you do have a wedding party or if you have anyone that you've chosen to like especially like help you on that day, lean into them, choose
Yes.
people who like feed into the strengths that you need.
Outsource.
Yeah.
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 I think it's important. Like, you want to enjoy this day, and only you know how you manage your anxiety best. Like, I know my anxieties and how they grow when I do or don't do certain things. So I think be honest with yourself and be honest with your team, and then make a plan. I love a plan. You know, like, this is what I'm going to do 6 months out, 5 months out, 4 months out, 3 months out. And this is what I'm going to do daily to manage my own anxiety. And I think it's communication, it's having a plan, and I do think exercise. Like when I go to yoga, for me, everyone's is different. It's just so relaxing. And the world slows down and everything that was so urgent is less urgent. Like your wedding's going to be beautiful. It's going to happen. You know, take a deep breath.
And also like the momentum of the day will kind of just carry you too, to where like you'll notice that you're really not so pressed on the things that you thought would be as pressing.
Yes. And know that something's going to go wrong.
Yeah.
Whether you know it or not, meaning your planner was like able to cover it, something is going to go wrong. You're dealing with humans. Humans make mistakes. You have 20, 30 vendors at your wedding. Like something will go wrong. But if you focus on the love in the room and decide that no matter what, you're going to have fun, hopefully that will help mitigate your anxiety. And I hope it didn't add more anxiety to your
No,
plate.
I think what you're trying to also like lean into is that like it's not always going to be seamless.
No.
Right?
Correct.
And even if you see some of those bumps along the way, even if you see some of those seams like open up, then it's okay. Again, you hired a team that you know and that you trust. You've been through the steps of planning. You know yourself. You're going to take some time for yourself. You're going to move your body. You're going to look into all the bright, shining faces that are around you and just know, like, it's going to be okay.
Deep breaths. Make the best out of it. And have fun.
Yes.
Have fun. It's your wedding. You know what I mean? Like, let go and let God.
There you go.
Well, that's it for today. And wasn't that fun? Don't forget to send your questions. Again, any questions, send them our way to hi@jovemeyer.com and maybe I will answer them on air. If you can, send a voice memo. I love to hear your voice.
Weddings-ish.
Thank you again for listening or watching Weddings-ish with Jove. If you liked today's episode, please subscribe and leave a review on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. We're also super grateful to Mel Flannery for the music on the podcast. She created, produced, and designed all of the music. And don't forget, you can watch Weddings-ish with Jove on Love Stories TV, YouTube, or streaming TV channel. Visit lovestoriestv.com/live for the list of streaming apps.
Weddings-ish. Weddings-ish.